Ignite is an ongoing series of speedy presentations. They've ranged from building multi-person pogo sticks to hacking chocolate. Any topic the geeks hold dear. Each speaker gets only 5 minutes and 20 slides that auto-advance every 15 seconds.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to something truly special. Tonight, we don't just gather for another Ignite High Desert. We celebrate 10 years of ideas, inspiration, and impact. For over a decade, Ignite High Desert has brought together innovators, leaders, and visionaries. Individuals bold enough to step forward, share their story, and spark something powerful in all of us. What started as a simple concept has grown into a movement, one that reflects the energy, creativity, and resilience of the high desert. Tonight, we honor the past, celebrate the present, and ignite the future. Let's make this 10th anniversary unforgettable. And now, let's get this party started. It is my honor to introduce the Ignite High Desert event founder and website creator, Sam Fatt with Mango Web Labs.
Yeah.
Welcome, everybody, once again to the 10th annual Ignite High Desert. My name is Terry Sines. I am the event chair. Unfortunately, we've had a little glitch, and this has never happened before, but our MC can't make it after all. So I think what we're going to do is...
Terry.
Sam, you're enormous.
I was watching you. You look very excited.
I was concerned. There's a difference.
I don't know about that. It looked like you were excited. And I'm at an event right now, and 200 people, and I couldn't come to Ignite.
Do they know you're doing this?
Well, they do now, but honestly, I would not have missed this for the world. This is such an important event, and having been part of it for so long, I really wanted to be here. Are you ready to start the show?
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, the founder of Ignite High Desert and our MC tonight, Mr. Sam Fatt.
Hello and welcome to Ignite High Desert. What began in 2015 as a small experiment in a Marriott meeting room with less than 75 attendees is somehow still going strong. 10 years later, and here we are. Ignite started in Seattle in 2006, but today it spans over 350 teams and 7 continents. The goal is very simple: to inform, educate, or entertain. I love the high desert. This is why I brought Ignite to the high desert. It's home, no matter where I go. I wanted to make the high desert stronger, more connected, and more courageous. With my background in presentations, Ignite felt like the perfect way to do that. How it happened was I met with Brad Lettner, the Hesperia Chamber CEO, and I told him about this exciting event. He said yes before I even finished my beer, and then he paid for the tab. We had an event, but no speakers. Terry Sines, Chris Ackerman, Kathy Martin, or Kurt, they were the ones that were the first speakers at Ignite. We have sponsors for money, called Restaurants for Food, and then had the hotel set up a full bar. The food was great. The sponsors came through. The crowd was very happy. Then we moved to a church, but the bar, it didn't make it. 10 years, over 150 speeches, 2,500 people through the door. Ignite is the Chamber's best event. I may be biased, but I'm also right. 5 minutes, 20 slides, each one auto-advances every 15 seconds, whether you're ready or not. It's a bit like parallel parking in front of 300 people, except that the parking spot disappears in 15 seconds. Back-to-back presentations, no pitches, no donation asks. Speakers are prepared and passionate. We do have one rule: keep it clean. A speaker once tried to break that rule and threw something in at the last minute. Not cool. I emceed the first Ignite, and since then we've had some wonderful MCs who made it even better, some of them twice. Thank you very much for everything you've done for Ignite. To celebrate our 10th anniversary, we put together a diverse group of speakers. We invited some of the best from the past 10 years, along with some that are speaking for the very first time, some of them students. And speaking of students, you're not just hearing from students, you're hearing from the future. These voices bring courage, creativity, and fresh ideas. Let's support them and celebrate them on this stage. After the first set of speakers, we have a 30-minute intermission. That's when you mingle and check out the restaurants before you come back to hear the rest of the speeches. But as you might know, things move very fast, 5 minutes at a time. The speakers you're about to hear have put in a lot of time and effort to bring their ideas to the stage. Keep an open mind, give them your full attention, and respect what they have to share, even if you don't agree. Look, this is not an easy format, as you can see, but it's easier to be up here when the crowd is alive. So don't hold back. Cheer and clap, and make this room feel electric for every single speaker. And during intermission, head out to the courtyard and show our food and drink sponsors some love. Seriously, you'll want to check those places out. Take a moment to grab their information, get something delicious, maybe even plan a next visit. And let's not forget the sponsors. There's too many to list in 15 seconds, but trust me, this event doesn't happen without them. So let's give a quick round of applause to the incredible sponsors who made Ignite High Desert possible. During the break, a timer on the screen will display a countdown. 2 minutes before the break is over, we will have ushers urge you back to your seats. If you hear the Mission Impossible music, it's time to be back. And next year, it's your turn. Yes, you, the one with the big idea, that story, that passion. It's not easy to do, but if you do it, you will be very happy with yourself. Are you ready? We're ready to start the first Ignite speech. Let's get curious and let's see where this idea takes us. And let's get ready to ignite the high desert!
So before we begin, I kind of want to introduce you to a place that raised me, that shaped me, a place that gave me far more than sunshine and dirt. Tonight, I want to introduce you to a place you might already be very familiar with, the high desert. But more specifically, I'd like to talk about building a community that built me. You see, I was born and raised here. I spent Saturdays at the library where my poor mom tried to keep her very talkative child busy. I spent cold mornings at the Victorville Christmas Parade, drinking Upwood the hot chocolate because my dad actually worked at King Ranch. Long afternoons at the parks. The desert isn't just where I'm from, it's where my story began. And it's also where my life started to take shape. I graduated from Victor Valley College, go Rams. I also met my husband. And now, at 30 years old, I've chosen to build my life here permanently. The thing is, all the moments you're seeing running around at local parks, days by the lake, waiting for the parade to kick off, even riding ponies at the Victorville Swamp Meet, none of that happened by accident. Behind every single one of those moments were people who cared enough to build something for families like mine. A lot of families are small, they're just starting out. They're families who also spend Saturdays at the library or summers cooling off at the mall. Families, again, just like the one I grew up in. When I was young, I didn't realize what I was receiving. I'm a kid, why would I pay attention, right? I thought I was just enjoying my hometown. But what I was actually receiving was a community investing in me, my sister, my family. And somewhere along the way, something changed. I grew up. And I began to realize that so much of that magic that existed in my childhood was really just the result of people showing up and putting in the work. And I realized those same programs and organizations that shaped me needed people to help continue carry them forward. So I made a choice. Y'all, like I said, I'm married, I'm surrounded by so much love, and while I don't have children just yet, I realize I do have a chance to pour all of that love into the families and communities around me. So today, that looks like working alongside the Friends of the Victorville Library, the Kiwanis Club of Victorville, and Victor Valley College. Alongside others, I get to work on galas, 5K races, and grand openings. I get to help raise funds for people who can turn that support into something truly beautiful. And I even made friends. You see, I started volunteering originally because I wanted to help out my friends, get more involved in the community. But I realized something. I was working on the same projects that I benefited from as a kid 20 years ago: the library, the parade, local parks. And through this work, I found mentors that didn't just guide projects or meetings, they guided me. I found friends, people on the same mission, showing up in their own way with their own skills and their own heart. A good friend once reminded me, hey, when you walk into a room, shake hands, meet people, be present. Another good friend told me, you can continue to give back being exactly who you are. And that was exactly what I needed to hear in my early 20s. That whole, you can continue being exactly who you are. It stayed with me because I'm young, sometimes I'm goofy, and sometimes the way I give back might look a little different from those who have been giving back for a couple of decades. But different doesn't mean less meaningful. Giving back isn't about fitting a mold, it's simply about showing up. And for me, showing up feels natural because my family has been a part of this desert for over 30 years. It's where my parents built their lives. It's where my sister grew up playing soccer and enjoying her own childhood. And it's where my husband and I began our adulthood together. Everything I do comes back to moments like this: kids with hot chocolate at the parade. And honestly, it became very nostalgic because I used to be that kid, and now I get to create that moment for someone else. Now remember, my mom, my dad, my sister, my husband, they're my why. But this work has shown me something bigger: that what we build here pours directly into the lives of other families who deserve to feel supported, empowered, and truly worth showing up for. Okay, yes, there's definitely something to keep in mind about hometowns. Often we're reminded it's important to leave your hometown. And for a long time, I wondered about that. Is it about physically leaving? Is it about growing beyond the boundaries you started with? Maybe a little bit of both. But now I'm just a tiny bit wiser. I understand the message behind that. For me, it's about staying open-minded, exploring other cultures, learning from different communities, making new friends, spreading more love, and doing your best to continue learning every single day. So yeah, I haven't fully left my hometown just yet, but I've always tried to live that idea anyway, through exploration, curiosity, and by definitely staying open to the life that exists beyond this warm little desert. I don't know if I'll always live here, but that's okay, because wherever life takes me, I'll carry the lessons, the people, and the spirit of this desert community that showed me something very powerful. Remember, when a community builds you, you spend the rest of your life building it back. Thank you.
Oh, hi guys. Have you guys seen this? The Artemis crash landing? Better yet, have you seen the first 6-7 performed in space? Anyways, I'm sorry. I was scrolling my reels and I lost track of time. It's never enough, is it? Time, I mean. We always think we have the amount of time, but when it really counts, it seems we don't have enough, which can be because of this little advancement, our little phones. Now, this can be called doom scrolling, and in time, in this generation specifically, we've never been more connected and somehow never more distracted from the people present right in front of us, with social media being a crucial impact. Ahan gives an emphasis that benefits of scrolling truly gives us a perspective of what's at risk for ourselves. However, the reason for this all connects back to the human brain. Now, technology has advanced so much from the past to the future. Doom scrolling can have multiple meanings, but the true fundamental is the compulsive consumption of social media, or even the act of spending an excessive amount of time for those who procrastinate, like me. Statistically, it's proven that Harvard School of Public Health have negative contact attracting to human brains. Negative news is 1.91 times more likely to be shared on social media compared to positive news. And now people are automatically wired to notice and attach to this presented threats on social media because that's how our evolving survival instincts naturally are as humans. Now, technology has advanced heavily to the point that social media has been built to have a reward-based algorithm based on your engagement, your likes, your comments, your shares, and negative news attracts engagement like nothing else does. However, doom scrolling doesn't have to be all doom. You can smart scroll. Actually, scrolling exposes us to useful information, such as being aware of real-life problems or the collective action of communities, such as this event today. However, productivity and mood or stress can heavily impact and be the downfall of scrolling, especially when it goes on for hours, even 36 hours. But today, people are way more invested in what our phones have to say instead of what our peers, our family members, our community members, or what even humans have to say. So the fact that Chick-fil-A has to make a box challenge for people to put their phones on while eating. But every time we pick up our phone, we're not just making a choice, but we're making a choice of what we see and how we spend our time and who we give our attention to. And now this doesn't just affect how we feel, it affects how we connect with one other. Our attention goes straight to our screens, and the people in front of us get whatever's left of us. Now, being able to set boundaries is one way to this solution with daily app, time limits, or just self-control itself. But I know that 15-minute more button is really tempting, because it is to me at least. But another way to smart scroll is by intentionally choosing the sources that give more quality over quantity. And information from credible sources rather than the drama or the hot gossip or whatever's going on with the tea. But let's all try to scroll with intention and not impulse. Because personally, I've caught myself doing this too, sitting next to people I care about, but still reaching for my phone without even thinking. So it made me realize, because of the hours we spend scrolling, could be hours spending actually connecting. So the next time you reach for your phone, just pause for a moment and ask yourself, if we were to train our attention the way we train our muscles, with purpose and intentionality, we could lead ourselves with that same focus and mindset we lead in our daily lives. Because you never know when the last conversation you have with a person may be. So let's use our time wisely and purposefully. Time is free, but it's also priceless. Because once you've lost it, it's something you can never get back. So how can we capture these hours of scrolling back, giving time to the relationships we have? Because we have all the time in the world. But it's not about having time, it's about making time for the ones you love. Thank you.
Okay, the blind mechanics, they take a rust bucket. Now, would you hire these guys? These guys are nuts. As you can fully see, I'm part of them. Now, Rust Bucket is a 58 TR3, and rust is not a repairman's dream. It's not our friend. I told David that I was going to drive this home on the trailer and hit every rust pothole on its way. As you can see, we had lots of things to look through for a vision. There's a plethora of potholes in Hesperia. They're never ending. Now, what that vision is, it depends. That came from a lawyer. Yes, he's in there, I see him. Yep, he's raising his hand. It depends on your vision is how much money do you have? What's your goal? So without that in mind, we tear it apart. We love tearing things apart. It's whether we can put them back together or not is something else. And so we tore it apart down to the frame and everything, assessed it and all that, And you got to go through the removal, the inspections, the purgatory, the cleanup, scrap, trash, figuring out what you're going to do with all of this. Now, inevitably, there is going to be trash. But what do you do with the trash? Well, we're going to come up with something. But in our minds, it's how much more can we take this thing apart? So we keep on going, and that resembles all of us pretty much as we go along. And there's projects for us all. Putting in parts, manufacturing parts, and there's always a task to be done by the group. And so we keep on going, and you delve deeper. You can see by one of the photos in the lower left, we took it down to the frame and we reconditioned it. We took the body apart and put it back together, and because of all that rust. And you end up with parts. Parts are parts are parts. Each one of us has a collection of parts, and somehow we can actually make something out of it if we can find the parts. And of course, there's organization and stuff. Now, in some cases, creative horse trading. We had the top two pictures. That front cowl was decimated. It was like major, major work. So there was some creative horse trading, and we put it back together. Got a good thing going. Now, what do we do with the spare parts? I might be the nuts one, or maybe more nuts than the rest. I build weird things like rat trike, basically to show kids that there's other things to do that get in trouble. But we make new panels, we upholster them. You can see what the dash used to look like to what it's looking like now. Ted does a wonderful job on things like this. I'm a mechanic. And of course, as we go along, there's going to be some assembly required. And we start taking and putting these parts together. That front apron looks so cool now because of the horse trading and different things. The rebuilt engine looks so awesome. And of course, some parts are like hen's teeth. You can't find them. David and Ted start scratching their heads because we're missing bezels. Oh, those haven't been made in 40, 50 years. Well, Ted went and looked through his parts and there they are. He had 3 of them. And so we had that. We reconditioned heater cores that are hard to find, and they all come together. Now, doesn't that front apron look awesome now? Yeah. Because providence, prayer, dumb luck, it all prevails. We do our jobs. We figure out how to put things together. And connections and networking are a positive thing. In this group here, we've got our High Desert Chamber of Commerce for our businesses. A lot of networking. In the cars, we got the Victor Valley British Car Club that we use, and we get things together. And take a look where we started, looking through our vision to what this is looking like now. It's almost finished. I tried to talk Ted into getting it ready so I could drive it up on the platform here, but we couldn't figure it. And we went from David and myself some 8, 9 years ago to there's 9 of us together that get together on Tuesdays, and we play with cars. So thank you so much, and follow your dreams.
Memento mori, remember you will die. The fear of death is nothing new. In the past, society integrated death into its life. There was fear, but more than that, there was an acceptance of mortality. From Roman temples to romantic cathedrals to modern architecture, the annals of history saturate every step in Europe. Sometimes a street feels more like a timeline. I recently had a chance to visit 2 sanctuaries where memento mori wasn't written on the walls, it was the walls. And they whispered, remember you would die. 16th century Franciscan monks had a cemetery problem. Too many bodies and not enough land. They created a practical yet theological solution. Now, Évora, Portugal is known for the Capela dos Ossos, the Chapel of Bones. Entering the chapel felt like joining a pilgrimage. From the walls, monks thanked you and welcomed you, leading up to their altar. Placed like scrolls of scripture, it was a living or rather dead library, lovingly placed, carefully oriented, and faithfully maintained. The monks were always willing to welcome people into the chapel, mostly skulls, mostly long bones, no small or irregular bones, mostly masculine as well. I wasn't just viewing a wall of history, I was viewing a living representation of what happened at Évora. Exiting the chapel, above was a heart-shaped bone, reminding you that this chapel was rooted in love. Memento mori, remember you will die. Across Europe, the same message echoed. In Kutná Hora in the Czech Republic, Sedlec ossuary greeted me with extravagance instead of monkly religion. From the balcony, awe hit me as I saw a beautiful chandelier of bone dominating the space and welcoming me to the ball that is Memento Mori. The chapel housed 7,000 monks, but Sedlec hosts 70,000 residents of Kutná Hora. The ossuary is a study in skeletal anatomy. Every bone is present. Femurs to phalanges, skulls to scapulae to os coxa. Adult skulls by juvenile femurs. Every age is represented, sprinkled carefully throughout the ossuary. The cemetery is dusted with soil from the Holy Land. At 5.2 hectares at its peak, it shrank over time while war and plague increased the dead. Achel was tasked in the 16th century to organize the ossuary. He built 6 Baroque pyramids reaching for the heavens. In 1870, the Schwarzenberg noble family sponsored Rint to create what is now known as the Sedlec ossuary. Most nobles leave behind land, art, or heirlooms. The Schwarzenberg family left behind their coat of arms made from the bones of the once living. Even though surrounded by the dead, I could feel the celebration of life, a ball hosted by the ancestors. It was a very moving experience. From a chapel dedicated to religion, organized, faithful, and monastic, to an ossuary dedicated to life lived, extravagant, experimental, and beautiful. Memento Mori echoes. The chapel itself has another inscription that it shares. Nos osos que aquí estamos pelos vosos esperamos. We bones that are here await yours. It doesn't ask who you are or what you've accomplished. It simply reminds you that eternity awaits, everyone is welcome, and no one is left behind. Memento Mori, remember you will die.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Ignite. Thank you guys for coming out. So I want to talk about something that affects every single one of us, whether we know it or not. It's stealing our wealth every day. Most of us don't recognize it because of asset inflation. It's called currency debasement. So what exactly is currency debasement? Well, it could be rationalized as government overspending from the Congress or central bank printing. And if you look at the chart displayed behind me, you'll see from the inception of the dollar, it was at 100, now it's at 1, well below 1. That's your purchasing power fading in real time. So, what can we really do to help, and why does this happen? Well, this is all symptomatic of the debt clock. Currently, we are nearing $40 trillion in debt. Every dollar printed takes $4 to produce a metric of GDP, which means every dollar we're currently holding loses $4 at a time. That's not a very good return ratio. So, this is something that we need to really think about and ponder about. And this is something we're not really taught, the Cantillon effect. The Cantillon effect is essentially those closest to the money printer, the ultra wealthy, get richer at the behest of the working class because they get first access to assets and housing. And to further elaborate on that, look at the gasoline prices outside. Gasoline alone has doubled within the past month, and electricity costs have doubled since the 1990s. Now, to those who are unfamiliar with all of this, financial literacy within the United States is below average. And this is a problem. When we don't understand the system that we're living in and we're illiterate towards it, they can naturally take advantage of us because we don't understand what's happening with our currency while we're stuck and struggling. So what can we do? Well, like this handsome man sitting there pondering, we should be thinking, we should be more active, not passive. One of the steps we can take is purchasing gold coins, gold bars. They have been an inflationary hedge for millennia and have survived many financial crises dating all the way back to the Song Dynasty in China when paper money was incepted. An easier way to get involved in money that's non-printable and sound money is silver coins. Silver is a much easier, cheaper asset. It is more volatile, so those who are afraid of risk should definitely reconsider. You can't print food. Food is an important producing asset. Agriculture is very important. I always say the most inflation-proof job in the world is definitely being a farmer because you can't print food. Money can be printed. Fixed income is another thing. Government securities, treasury bonds. The longer it goes up, you get more yield on your investment. Corporate bonds, Apple, whatever you want to invest in. And then we come to community, which is the most important thing within everything. You need to have a network, especially in uncertain times like today. Your network is your net worth. And if you don't have anybody to lean on when there's uncertainty, you're at a disadvantage. And within that advantage of a community, you can upskill. Upskilling is the most effective tool today with the AI revolution going on, because currently we can build something genuine because labor is non-replaceable. Private placements, this is for those who want to do things privately without the noise of the market. That could be buying private stock warrants, and things that are essentially hedged against inflation or debasement or dilution. Now, a quick note for everybody. When the Federal Reserve cuts rates, it doesn't happen overnight. There is a lag effect of 12 to 18 months, most of the time 18 months, which is why housing prices generally lag. So I know what everyone's thinking. I'm thinking it too. What do we do next? Well, the short answer to that is we should really start doing something today as a community, whether that be driving Uber, selling stuff on eBay, delivering groceries, doing oddball jobs on Jackrabbit, or even answering survey questions. We have to become more active because every dollar we earn, we have to build it against the inflationary debasement of our currency and take care of our mental health. The mental health in our family and loved ones, community, are the most important things, all of us, besides the currency debasement stuff. Protect your mental health, love generously, be humble, and everybody, thank you so much. Everybody who's been so supportive, big hand to the speakers tonight. Thank you, everybody.
Now, nobody, when you came in this room on this evening, tested out the pews that you sat on, You didn't look underneath and ask if the weight limit of everybody on this pew was going to be secure. You merely came in and you had the faith to believe that I'm going to sit in this pew and it's going to hold my weight. This is what we call a physical example of faith. Faith is acting, believing, and confessing that something is, even when it's not necessarily tangible. So today we're going to talk about the acting, the believing, and the confessing, the ABCs of faith. Acting. It's patterning our lives as if something has already happened. We just do it because we feel it, because we have an internal inkling to just do something. What is an example of this? Everybody, when you leave out of here tonight, you're gonna get in your car and you're gonna hope it starts. When you go home, you're gonna flick the lights on and you're gonna hope that they come on. You're gonna hope that the alarm system that you pay hundreds of dollars every month keeps burglars away. This pushes us to say that we have a belief. We're already working in everyday faith. And because we believe that something is possible, we just think it. Creative ideas come. This is where witty inventions come in. Thoughts direct actions, which direct results. When we think that we are, then we are. Nike didn't just say, just do it because they wanted to just do something. They had a thought that they wanted to push athletes to do something. So they thought about it. Modern example. Plenty of people in here have a business. When you started your business, you probably thought there are other people that are doing the same service that I'm doing, offering these same products. What if nobody likes it? What if nobody wants to use it? But that didn't deter you. You started the planning process. You did the profit loss. You counted, where do you want these products to be sold at? What platforms do I want to use? This is when you wrote down exactly what you had in your mind. And then what did you do? You did it. That's when the grand opening came. That's when you sold your first clients products and services. Did it go how you thought and intended it would go? Did you think that this was going to catapult you to where they are? Now, I know a lot of you are saying, faith is not going to help me start that business. It's not going to make it successful, and it's not going to push it to where it is. Am I saying that faith alone is going to get you exactly where you need to be? No, I'm not saying that at all. Now, I know you're thinking, you said ABCs. We've only went over acting and believing, but we're going to go over confessing. Because when you internalize something in your mind and you believe that you can do it, then you start patterning your voice to speak over what you're doing. It shapes and allows what you already envisioned in your mind to be actually done. You speak it, you say it out loud. You don't internalize it, you're no longer journaling it, but you're allowing it to shape your atmosphere. Now, the vagus nerve, which when you calm and you speak into your atmosphere, it's what controls us and makes us calm. Now that star here that you see, the vagus nerve enters here, and it's the medulla oblongata. And no, my mama didn't tell me that. This directly affects us. When we're in an anxiety state, we speak to ourselves. You're okay. We are fine. You're not in danger. Death and life is in the power of our tongue, and they that love it will eat the fruit thereof. All of us have probably heard that scripture, and you probably think, well, I have to watch what I say. You also have to watch what you think, and you have to watch what you do, because it patterns your lives. You have to place yourself in situations that you have mentors and people that are either where you are or trying to get where you're going. Because if you don't like the way that you're looking at something, you have to change the way that you're looking at it. We have to have faith in our community. We have to support local businesses. We have to support that local mechanic. We have to support our local church houses. We have to support all of our small businesses because we believe and have faith in the growth of our community. So when someone brings up faith, don't minimize it to just, I go to church and I believe in God, but put it in the sense of thinking, I had to trust that this chair was going to hold my weight. I have to trust that my car is going to start when I leave here. And I have to trust that when I shape my mind to think certain things and I start believing and I act on it, then anything is possible. Thank you.
So, communication. what is communication? Because I feel like it's something that has been talked about a lot. You hear it in a lot of quotes, you hear it in a lot of discussions, but what really is communication? So I want to talk about it. But real quick, a little bit of background. I am in an amazing program that is called Space Force Junior ROTC, and I am the lucky ones to be part of senior staff, which is the top 12 cadets that help run the entire program and what it has to offer. And with that, my position is called being the Operations First Sergeant. And with that in mind, I am in charge of over 150 cadets, with 12 of those being leaders themselves. So not only am I very well immersed with communication, but I also have to outweigh the good and the bad of what it comes with that communication. No matter if it's some kind of event that's going to be happening or if it's some disciplinary action that I have to take care of, I have to communicate with them in one way or another. And I have to do it in a manner where it's not going to lead to fights, it's not going to lead to stress, or it's not going to lead to the ruining of genuine relationships that I have built for over 4 years now. So I want to talk about really communication and conflict, and not only how to learn about communication, but how to deal with it in your everyday life. Because in one way or another, conflict is going to happen. So there's going to be 3 points. First one is going to be to center your attention. The second one is going to be to comprehend and not respond. And the third one is constructing dialogue. These 3 tips have helped me out so much, especially in my growth and going into communication. So first, to center your attention. So attention is a lot of what you have to give. It's the big cornerstone of when it comes to communication. You have to constantly give attention. And I have to do it for either misbehaved cadets, for events, or whatever it is. It is my duty to give attention and to provide that solution and reliability to those cadets so that they can also have reliability with me. And it helps build genuine relationships. I have built so many relationships just by communicating with people and giving them my attention. And attention is such a big piece because everyone really wants to have your attention. Second point would be comprehend and not respond. So, a lot of talks that do happen in our day-to-day lives have something that a lot of us keep doing. We keep talking while they talk. A lot of talks just need someone to listen. Because sure, you're gonna have that occasional help, that occasional person asking for advice, but a lot of it is just gonna be you listening to that. Your point does not need to always come out. And that's a good thing, because that shows that you're genuinely trying to understand the person. You're genuinely trying to connect with the person that you're talking to. And that is going to make long ways when it comes to communication. And comprehension requires attention, time, dedication, understanding, and not just to listen, but see their background, their position, what they need, because every person is different. And moving on to my final one, which is going to be constructing dialogue. So, with dialogue, connectivity is the keystone of that. It is how do you maintain connections. It is how you work with others. And for me, I have to always maintain connections with my staff, with my cadets, with the people that I am in charge of. And even if conflict does arrive, I have to do it in a way that I can handle it without having any bad problems. So we're not having like a yelling contest. We're not in a tug of war, because that's not what conflict is. Conflict is something that we've always viewed as just arguing with each other or just getting your point across and not really understanding what they want. But it's a little more deeper than that. It's iron sharpening iron. It's 2 perspectives clashing, and it shouldn't just clash, but merge into one so that we can better understand who we are talking to. So, to just reiterate, center your attention to comprehend who you're talking to and to construct dialogue, because no matter what, and these 3 pieces have helped me out so much with my communication road. And these 3 will help you realize that we are all human trying to get attention from one another, because we all have a story, whether it's been told or untold. So please, comprehend, center your attention, and construct dialogue. Thank you.
is it like to be a humanitarian? What does it even mean? Let's get out of our four walls of where we work and live and do things and go to other places and try to give our ability to do what we do to other people. And being a humanitarian audiologist is a wonderful opportunity that I've had. My title of my presentation is Mama, 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 because what is it like to hear after 9 years of being deaf, of not being able to hear your mom talk to you, or any family members for that matter? It's something that really makes a difference in the lives of people. Does hearing care matter? Well, I think it matters. It matters if people can communicate with their members of their family when they're school. It doesn't matter if you're old or young. Hearing is something that we all deserve and we all should be able to have in our life. What's the global impact? I mean, you look at these people, some of them look different from us, some look the same as us, but they all have a similar characteristic of wanting to hear and interact with other people. And that's something that we all deserve to have. And we should be able to have that no matter where we are. In Kenya, I went to Kenya in 2014 with Starkey. I was working there. We were able to work with the students that were deaf. They did not have access to hearing aids. Many of these people coming for 10 hours on a bus ride to be able to come see us because in their country, there's nobody else that can help them. And we were able to rescue 8 kids off the street of Kawangari, and today they are actually still being saved and being raised up. We also trained the local people to be able to give hearing health care after we're gone. I went to Brazil in 2023 with Mr. Beast. Actually, he paid for all of us to go, and we were able to bring hearing health care to people in other countries. The nice thing about Brazil is, look, you can see it's actually just as modernized as it is here. I was able to experience some of the local things around there that I wouldn't have had access to otherwise. And we were able to bring hearing health care with other providers that are across the United States that came and did that with us. We were fit 1,000 hearing aids in 1 month. We went to Mexico in 2024. We worked with Bimbo, and we were able to give accessibility to the deaf people that are in that community. So when they're talking to each other through the machines, they can not only hear, but have access to each other. I also had a student that came as an interpreter, and guess what? We changed the trajectory of his career, that now he's going to become an audiologist because he got the opportunity to work with students or other people, and he found that love that I have as well with being able to help people hear. I went to the Turks and Caicos in 2025. I actually had to be an audiologist to go over there, so I had to get a licensure for that. And came again with other people from across the United States, worked with the Minister of Education. We traveled by air, boat, van. It was kind of interesting. We went to very remote areas. These are places that don't have access to hearing health care. And it matters if a student can be able to hear, and whether or not they have a conductive hearing loss, something medical treated, or whether they need a hearing aid, we're able to go there and access that for them. Some of the equipment that we brought are headphones that go over, so that's like a booth. We had to sometimes use a turkey baster when we forgot about bringing an impression gun with us. And there's machines that tell us if kids can hear, whether they tell us or they don't tell us. We were able to change the trajectory of Micah, who is now going to the University of Memphis to become an audiologist for his country, Malindi. Again, he's the only one who's going to be there to be able to do that for his country. And what is it like when United States, we have to fit hearing aids on children by the time they're 3 months old. Imagine like these 2 twins, one hearing, one not. The twin is kind of helping the mom to be able to communicate with her. We need to do a better job of helping other people. Meet Ali. He is somebody who got hearing while we were over there. Take a look at his expression change.
Ahí. ¿Escuchas? ¿Qué? Sí. ¿Qué? Sí. Sí te escuchas. Ah. ¿Quién soy yo? ¿Quién soy yo? Yo soy. ¿Quién soy? Mamá. Mamá. Mamá.
Gives me goosebumps every time. You can see he's unsure, he's activated, he's celebrating, he's confident. And one thing I'll say, we can all be the same way in humanitarian efforts. We're going to go unsure, we're going to go in celebrating when we are able to do things, and we're going to be confident. So go out there and do your humanitarian thing. We were able to give hearing to 3 veterans here in the high desert in 2025, and they were very deserving and deserve that special treatment, as they should get every day. But we were able to give that to them and give them the family and access to hearing. Find your passion, create your community. If you wait for the perfect weather, you're never going to plant your seed. Ecclesiastes 11:4. Go out there and do humanitarian work. We all have it in us. Thank you.
I used to be a rock star, kind of. I was the lead frontman for a Christian thrash metal band called Betrayal. Imagine Striper, but with blast beats, screaming about God at 120 decibels. We were signed to Wonderland Records. We did 2 albums, Renaissance by Death and The Passing. Great times in my life right there. You know, we had one hit song called Renouncement. Kind of makes us a one-hit wonder, but I'll take it. So, we played the Rose Parade. We headlined a festival in Utrecht, Holland. At 20-something years old, I thought, this is the life that I want. What made what happened here even harder. Look at those eyes. Our band was imploding from the inside. That's the eyes of someone who didn't want to be there anymore. Soon, left music. Then I left God. Then after that, I left Christianity. Soon, I walked away from everything I once believed was true. Now, many of you met me during a different era, full of ego, confidence, sports announcer, funny. Somewhere along the line, this character got a name, Crazy Chris. For the next 15 years, Speedway, big events, even bigger events. But that's when the wheels began to fall off because the character of Crazy Chris was replacing the real Chris Ackerman. Arrogance is addictive. Pride is quiet at first, but then the ego, it's louder. The applause gets addicting until it owns you. 2018, the wheels began to fall off. Different stage. My life was crashing around. I was hiding behind this wall of Crazy Chris. But in 2018, I heard a song by a guy named Neil Morris, a song called So Far Gone. I felt like that song was written just about me. And I walked away, started reevaluating my life. I got on my knees in 2018 and I said, Jesus, please show me how real you are in ways I can't imagine. And something broke inside of me. And God spent the next 2 years working on my heart. After 2 years of God helping me and changing who I was again, got an email. Is this the same Chris Ackerman that sang for Betrayal? We're remastering your albums, putting them on vinyl and streaming platforms for the first time. Music and a life that I had forgotten about and locked away 3 decades earlier suddenly came back to life. And at the time, so was I coming back to life. I get an email 2 years from that from a guy in Germany, and he says, I was heavily influenced by you. I went and traveled from Germany to Utrecht, Holland, just to see you in concert. Well, I have a band, and I want you to sing a song on our new album. I said, I don't know if I could do it. I haven't done it in 30 years. But I brought my family in. So my big comeback had a family choir. It's the best band I've ever been in. Then there was another email, then another one. Mangled Carpenter, Motivic, doing a cover of our hit song Renouncement they wanted to do as a duet. All of a sudden I thought, I'm not chasing this stuff, it's now chasing me. Why, Lord? Why are these doors opening now and not back when I was chasing my own fame and full of ego, trying to make it happen on my own? Because my heart had to change, the Lord told me. For 30 years, I chased recognition. I chased acceptance. I chased approval from man. And it wasn't until God started rebuilding my heart and my character that this all started to make sense. Turns out the comeback tour doesn't start with repentance. It starts with repentance, not necessarily a record deal. Opportunities didn't show up until I stopped trying to chase fame. So, if you think you've gone too far, burned too many bridges, you haven't. It starts with changing your heart. And when your heart is right, and the Lord is leading your life, the doors you once stopped knocking on might just open up on their own.
Ready? Yeah. Yes. Making friends in your 40s is hard.
Well, making friends at any age is hard.
Don't make it weird.
No, I'm not making it weird. I'm just saying it's a commitment.
Okay, this is Stacy and she's my friend, which is impressive because I don't even have time to do laundry. So I do not know how I found the time to make a friend.
Exactly. We're exhausted.
But here we are, fully invested.
This is Sarah. She's my friend. And she's going to tell you all she's an artist.
I am an artist. I literally have a degree.
Yeah, but in what?
Not in this kind of art.
So tonight we're going to tell you the story of how we became friends.
And while we're doing that, we're going to be drawing portraits of one another because Stacy made me.
Yeah, and now I'm thinking this was very risky.
This was the worst
But
idea.
Sarah, pinky promise, you don't get mad at my efforts.
Okay, I'm already mad at the pinky promise joke and the portraits, and I don't know if we'll be friends after this.
Okay. Well, so it won't be all the years of the bad puns and the dad jokes. It's the portraits.
It's the portrait.
Doesn't matter. Let's get started.
I've been drawing this whole time.
No, I mean, start talking about being friends with the coolest chick in the high desert.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Tell everybody what it feels like.
So my first impression of Sarah was bold, confident, in charge, slightly intimidating,
Accurate so far.
and immediately comfortable sharing very personal information with a total stranger.
Okay, I like to build trust quickly and really just accelerate the relationship with oversharing.
And somehow that worked.
It did. And this is Stacy. When I first met Stacy, I was behind a camera, not a canvas, which is a much safer place for me.
Apparently she was drawn to my colorful polo.
Like a moth to the flame.
And here we are. Somehow that worked. A few weeks later, she shows up at my rubber factory.
Which isn't a joke. I walked into a rubber factory and I made a friend.
Let me paint this picture for you.
Yeah. Oh, I like the pun. We didn't bond over hobbies or shared interests.
No, we trauma bonded.
We did. As you can see from the slides behind us, there was plenty of trauma in our childhood. Look at those pictures.
No, I'm going to go back. So Sarah and I are both firstborn daughters, which means expectations were high from the beginning.
Oh yeah, do the right thing. Follow the rules. Perform at your very best.
Don't mess it up.
And we were driven. We were determined. We were focused.
Highly capable, also known as
Stubborn. Yeah. What's funny is these traits that make us successful, well, they also make us a lot like our fathers.
Yeah, and that's complicated because we both have really great dads, but we just don't want to admit how much we turned into them.
Not at all. But here we are, two grown women realizing that those traits, we didn't just inherit them.
No, we became them, and the worst part is
They were right. Don't tell them we said it.
No, please don't.
The only difference is my dad, he's actually secretly a great painter. He's really
You're
great.
doing it again. You're oversharing. It's not a secret anymore.
Okay.
Once we both realized we inherited the just like your dad gene, there was no turning back.
No, that's where our friendship blossomed.
That's why she put the flowers on.
That is why I put the flowers on the slide. I'll leave it alone. Just know I rose to the occasion.
Okay, Bloomer. Thanks a lot.
Oh,
So you know what? The problem is we both inherited the dad joke gene as well.
Yeah, we did. Well, when I met Stacy, I thought this was just going to be a casual acquaintance, someone I'd see here and there.
I got a friend who sees me clearly and still wants to be part of my picture.
I know. It's nice because I don't think I'd made a real friend since having kids.
Oh, and that matters.
It does, because this friendship, it's just for me. It's not about my kids or responsibilities or schedules. It's just about connection.
No, we're both really busy and very driven.
And modest. And so good at drawing. Wait till you see this.
We're both just successful women trying to get through the days and weeks.
And apparently trying to get through perimenopause.
Which we definitely got from our dads.
100% their fault. You know what else we got from our dads? Our inability to stop. We do not slow down.
Yeah, and last year something made us slow down.
Yeah.
Well, at least me. I had a bad accident last year. Had to be in the hospital for a while. But having Sarah there really made it manageable.
I think I brought a solid 15-minute set to the hospital on my first visit.
Yeah, she had me laughing so hard in the ICU. It was probably medically dangerous.
It was probably also the drugs.
Well, I mean, she was just so busy working and taking care of her own family, but she still made the time to take care of my family the way I would.
With food.
We like to eat. In your 40s, you don't bond over your future.
No, you bond over what you've survived.
And who can see the real you?
Yeah, and who stays.
Anyway, even if the portrait is terrible.
Okay, well, this portrait is 100% terrible. You want to see it?
Yes.
Okay, wait, let
Well,
me.
you drove me much younger than you, right?
Ready?
Yes.
Will you be my friend anyway?
Yeah.
Okay. Ta-da!
We did it.
Hey. It's not bad.
No, pretty good.
I gave you a body. I just want to point that out.
Great job. Give it a hand for our first half. Okay, we're going to go on a half-an-hour break, but I want to first recognize some of our sponsors and our food vendors. Let's see if I can. Okay, our Ember sponsors. You can start clapping as I read their names off. We have Ben's Peanuts. We have Burtech Waste Industries, Victorville Disposal, Cornerstone Caregiving, Farmers Insurance, Clint Alfred Agency, Global Credit Union, and High Desert Sports Foundation. ISU Insurance Services, RMAC Agency, Nexa Lending, Patterson Print Shop, Professional Tax Services and Consulting Services, and Signs AV Communications Division. Our Spark sponsors, Amazon, Blue Star Property Incorporated, Mitsubishi Cement Corporation, Options for Youth Public Charter Schools, and Rafa Productions. Our Flame sponsors, Advanced Disposal and the City of Hesperia. Our presenting sponsor, First District Supervisor Colonel Paul Cook. And to come say a few words, we have the Director of Constituent Services, Samuel Shoup.
Thank you, Mark. Evening, everybody. How about these great presentations we've had so far, right? It's just fantastic. Now, I'm not going to take the full 5 minutes that all of them are allotted, so I'm sorry you don't get to hear me talk quite as much as them. I am here representing our county supervisor, Colonel Paul Cook, and we just want to say how proud the supervisor is to be able to sponsor events like this that the Chamber puts on. We always pride ourselves on being supporters of the Chamber. Clearly, all of you are as well for coming out, and especially the presenters who are here to educate and inspire us. It really is quite amazing, everyone who's able to do that. So we just are so excited that we're able to help in our small way to make sure that we're all able to listen to these, to learn and hang out with each other. Now, I think one of the last few things standing between everybody and getting some of this amazing food out in the courtyard. So I'm not going to go on too much longer. We just want to say thank you to everyone who's here, especially our presenters, everyone who's here listening, and hopefully many of you are going to be up here next year doing some of these presentations as well. So thank you again, and thank you so much for the Chamber.
Thank you, Sam, and thank you to all of our sponsors. And now we'll go ahead and get you out there. We have Ben's Peanuts LLC, El Pollo Loco, Farmer Boys, Golden Corral, Los Amores de Julia. Did I say that right, babe? Veronica, did I say that right? Okay, I said it right. Olympic Flame Burgers, Out of This World Barbecue, Red Robin, Sizzler, and Soda City. Now for Soda City, you got to go out into the parking lot to their trailer, get the Soda City there, and we'll see you back here in a half an hour. Welcome back, everybody. Are we ready for the second half of Ignite High Desert? It's my honor first, before we get started, to bring out our host sponsors. It's our second year in a row here, and we were honored with Victorville Assembly of God. Please give a big round of applause. Pastor Josh Gerbach.
Well, again, we want to welcome you tonight on behalf of our church. Thank you for being here. It's such an honor to host this event, to see so many great leaders and visionaries and people in our community and some amazing speakers. We really believe that when the church and the community come together, great things happen. So God bless you tonight. We're praying for our community and praying for you tonight. So Mark, it's a privilege to be a part of this great event. So God bless you tonight. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Pastor Josh. Enjoy the second half of Ignite High Desert.
When I was 6, I prayed for God to give me more patience. I'm not sure that prayer actually worked, but I'm pretty sure God heard it and said, "Perfect. I will send you to a place called Costco." Hi, I'm Christina, and tonight I want to talk to you about one of the greatest teachers in my life, Costco. Not therapy, not meditation, freaking Costco of all places. Because if you really want to test someone's patience, you put them in a Costco parking lot on a Saturday, or in a never-ending line to buy toilet paper during COVID, and let the character development begin. How many of you can relate? Yes. Costco started as a price club in the 1970s. The idea? Sell everything, just more of it. Why buy 12 granola bars when you can buy 84? I mean, where else can you go and buy paper towels and end up leaving with a kayak or a gazebo? Comedian Shen Wang once said about the Costco parking lot, "Respect it like the ocean. It is not about my schedule. That is the moon and the tides. Costco is bigger than all of us." And then you commit to the current. But I have learned something important. If I don't find parking in 10 minutes, I leave. It is not my day to go. Because today, Costco has decided I am not meant to go to Costco. But when the tides do align and I finally find parking, I emerge out of my car like a survivor. Sun in my eyes, executive membership card in hand, ready to face what's on the inside. I scan my VIP executive membership card like a boss, card in hand, pushing with purpose, zigzagging around the lollygaggers. Then I hear, "Ma'am, we got coffins, solar, water filtration systems." I reply, "Nope, not today, Costco." And then there's the clothing section, which I love. You can get everything there. Blazers, workout clothes, this sweet Kirkland t-shirt. It's like Costco couture in that place that you can buy next to a 40-pack of muffins. But those employees, they fold those clothes so perfectly, right? They're like little retail origami masters. And then within 30 seconds, here we all are trashing the place and unfolding everything like a bunch of raccoons in a snack cabinet. And then there's the samples. All I want to do is eat the samples. But I have to wait until the Costco lady finishes talking about the cheese and crackers before I can finally eat my free samples. And then you ever notice how everyone just stops in the middle of the aisle? No warning, just breaks. And I want to judge them, but then I do the same exact thing because I have that same squirrel moment that a dog does, except mine is triggered by pizza rolls. And then bam, my ankle gets clipped from behind. I spin around fully prepared to unleash my Costco rage. It's tiny little grandma driving her little race car, or cart like a little race car, Hot Wheels granny. But I don't judge her, and I don't get mad because I don't know her story. I don't know her struggles. But you know what? Hot Wheels granny doesn't know mine either. I'm just trying to get through Costco and life with my paper towels and kayak. Now, Costco will humble you real fast. Loading the 40-pack of water, the 50-pound dog food. With rheumatoid arthritis, sometimes my hands won't cooperate. But there is always somebody there to help me. Always. There really is more kindness in this world. But then there's the checkout line, which somehow always backs up to the frozen foods, and then no one knows what line they're in. And then that's when I become Costco traffic control, kind of like the person at the airport with the glowing wands. I'm over here. Sir, that line ends over there. Ma'am, we're going to form a new line over here. No booze in your cart? Sweet. Self-checkout for you, buddy. You too, Hot Wheels Granny. Bring it in. Get over here. No man left behind in this place. And then there is the unsung hero of Costco, the hot dog. Inflation is everywhere, but that hot dog, it is still $1.50, baby. It is an American classic that I have proudly supported since 1992. I love that Costco hot dog so much, I became one for Halloween, twice. Check it out. And for the record, that costume is 2-0 in Halloween costume contests. Yeah. Well, now it's time to leave, and I go through the door. I get my receipt checked, or as I call blessed, I'm being followed out to the parking lot, and that's okay. I pay it forward because Costco teaches us patience and kindness, and it's proof that life lessons really do come in bulk and are still $1.50, baby. Thank you.
Newsflash, I am not dead. I am not dead. You will not find my name on a tombstone. You will not have to spread my ashes anywhere. I am not dead. I'm retired. And there are similarities. Retirement means loss. You lose your lifestyle. You lose your profession. You might lose your purpose. You might even lose your identity. See, I was a teacher for 30 years in the Sperry Unified School District and loved teaching. I went in every day and thought of all the crazy things I could do with my kids. We did robotics, we did technology, I did movies with them. We did plays, I did a band in the classroom, I did a football program. I did everything, and then it was done. It stopped. And they had a nice party for us that celebrated our retirement, but honestly, for me, it felt more like a wake. And I kept asking myself, what now? What do I do? I felt kind of aimless, like a ship in the middle of the ocean with no sense of navigation, no destination. I really didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know how they were going to survive without me, and I was going to survive without them. So I focused on my health. Not just my physical health, but my spiritual health, my mental health, my emotional health, my financial health. And the first thing I started doing every morning, I got up early, about 5 o'clock, and I studied the Bible for 2 to 3 hours every morning. It was the most wonderful thing. I am unlocking the mysteries of God's Word. I am understanding life like I never have. I also started babysitting my grandkids. 3 days a week, took care of them. I changed lots of diapers. I also was there during COVID to take care of my granddaughter in first grade remotely. And I played Santa at their school. I also started reconnecting with old friends and making new friends. I have more friends now than I've ever had in my life. And see, a lot of people, when they retire, their friendships shrink. Mine has expanded. You gotta have an outlet. You gotta have something to do. I pour myself into the California Writers Club, the High Desert branch. And it's been fantastic. If you're part of the Writers Club, raise your hands. Oh yeah. We love to write. I've written all these books. I've got 7 books now on Amazon, and I've got another one I'm just about to publish. It has given me a legacy. It gives me something to leave behind. I'm also started dealing with my stuff. I bought a scanner, and I've scanned over 5,000 files, and I found some cool stuff. One of the things I found was this playbill to the play that I saw the night I accepted Christ as my Lord and Savior, 52 years ago. My wife and I are also, we're trimming down. We're getting rid of a lot of stuff. I do a lot of trips to Salvation Army and to the Goodwill because we don't want to leave our stuff for our kids to have to deal with. Finances, so important. You know, Chris Hogan said it takes $1 million of investments to retire comfortably or have a good pension. Your Social Security will not cut it. So if you're young, start planning ahead. I also love to travel. That's me. I am going down into a cenote rappelling 90 feet down in Cancun. That's my wife, my beautiful wife, Debbie, and we're in front of the pyramid at Chichen Itza. We've been to Puerto Vallarta. We've been to Costa Rica. This is me in Machu Picchu. This is me down in the Amazon fishing for piranha, and I ate it. Better him than me. I also volunteer. The work that I do with the Writers Club, I don't get a penny for that. I volunteer because I can. Volunteers make the world go around. So if you're thinking of retiring, think of where you can invest yourself. The reality is I've lost many friends and family members over this last 6 years that I've been retired. That's what happens. And I begin to realize that I am closer to death than I have been before. So I'm starting to prepare. I'm starting to think ahead. What happens if you get a long-term illness? What happens if you die? What's going to have everything set in stone and prepared so other people don't have to deal with it? Retirement is a lot like a death, but it doesn't just have to be an ending. It could be a whole new beginning for you. So everybody, that last line on the slide, say it with me. 1, 2, 3, we're not dead yet. Thank you.
Courage is what I have, and courageous is who I am. The 3-year-old you see on screen had a dream to become something more than people told him he ever could be. So today, as I, Josiah, stand in front of you 11 years later, want to take you through the journey on how I chose to defy the 12-year myth. It all started when my parents realized that me taking the standard 12 years of school and 4 years of college wasn't going to work out for me, because by the time I was in 1st grade, I was already doing 4th grade level work. So they knew I needed a challenge. Luckily for me, I love challenges, because challenges are where I grow and where I find who I am and who I'm capable of becoming. And that's exactly why I'm standing here today, because I chose not to let somebody else define my limits. Last year in 7th grade, I started taking college classes at VVC. And since then, throughout the 7 college classes I've taken, I've had the highest grades in every single one of those classes, including a 100.3% in my very first class. And in just 1 month, as I graduate from 8th grade, I will be finishing my very first year of college at the same exact time, all while running my very own 3D print business from home full time. This puts me on pace to graduate from both high school and college in 10th grade, with the plans to get my robotics and animatronics degrees at the age of 17. All this being done before I'm able to vote, and the best part, I will do it all with absolutely 0 student debt. And I want to make one thing really clear really quick. This has all been accomplished thanks to homeschooling, not public school and not remote school. And you might be thinking, isn't remote schooling the same thing as homeschooling? And no, it's not. Remote schooling is what everybody went through during COVID-19 when the world shut down and people had to do schooling from home. That's still following the same rules and regulations as public school. Homeschooling allows you to move at a pace that fits you, because education shouldn't be a conveyor belt where everyone moves at the same speed. Education should be a set of doors that open to different paths and doors that lead to different opportunities. Because when students are trusted and believed in, they often rise far beyond the expectations. Because for the past 100 years, we've been told there's one correct way to live life. You go to school for 12 years, you go to college for another 4, you get a job, you work that job for 30 to 40 years, then you retire and, well, guess what? You die. And that's not how it should be. And you might be thinking, well, isn't homeschooling a lot of work for your parents? And my answer is simple. Yes, absolutely. And I thank God every single day that I have parents and a brother who help me look at challenges, not as something impossible, but something I simply haven't learned yet. Because we look at the challenge as the reward ahead of it, not the mountain I need to climb. Because every lesson is a learning lesson. And we hold one thing true. With God, all things are possible. Because nothing we have done or ever will do is done without God. God guides our steps, and He gives us the strength every single day to do what other people say we cannot do. Because success is not built through sitting at a desk waiting for others to tell you what to do. Success is built through skill, through discipline, and through direction, through curiosity, through effort, and through the willingness to be somebody different. That's right. Because growing is not about following the same timeline as everyone else. It's about finding the path that helps you grow. Because growth is not easy and growth is not comfortable. Trust me. But growth is what happens when you choose to step into the unknown and be somebody different. Because the future does not belong to those who wait. It belongs to those who build, to those who take action, and to those who strive for more. Because the truth is simple. The timeline is optional, but your potential is not. So enjoy the journey of learning. as you continue to build your future. Because the journey is where you grow and where you find who you're capable of becoming and who you are right now. So keep going, because every step you take, every challenge you face, and every lesson you learn is shaping you into someone greater. Because if you keep going, you can become someone you truly never thought you could become. But thanks be to God, who gives us the victory through our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Because victory is not about winning, it's about overcoming. It's about pushing forward when things get difficult and trusting that God is guiding every single step that you take. It's about true victory. The true victory is when we do stuff with God, not alone. And I want to say one last thing. Parents, if you can, homeschool your kids, because they deserve more than the system. They deserve the chance to defy the 12-year myth. Thank you.
Providence. You know what that is, right? Well, I didn't in 1966. It's the unseen hand of God in our lives. It was a history of England class, and I was assigned to write a providential view of the history of England. To say I was highly motivated is an understatement. The paper came back with the comment, "This is the poorest expression of providence that I've ever read." That hit me like a ton of bricks. I was planning to be a pastor, and I couldn't see the hand of God in 1,000 years of English history. How in the world would I share his love with those around me if I didn't know what he was doing? That set me on a 60-year quest to look for the hand of God and his providence. I discovered it's all around us. It's in the joys and sorrows, the anxiety, the pain, the suffering, all the things we experience and things that we don't even know about. God is there working. I moved here in 1989 to pastor the Hesperia Church of the Nazarene, and my first week at the job, I had a medical issue and they called for an MRI, and the MRI said that I had a brain lesion that was so invasive that they needed to operate that week, but if they operated, I would never walk on my left leg again. My church prayed, my family prayed, and they said, you have to have a second opinion. And so I went down the hill to Riverside, where arrangements had been made for us to talk to the neurosurgeon. I hand-carried the MRIs. He looked at them and said, well, maybe not this week, but within the month you need to have surgery. Well, by this time, my first neurosurgeon didn't want to be talking to somebody he didn't know, so he sent me to the Keck School of Medicine at USC. And there I had a second MRI, and the equipment was much more sophisticated. It took about a third of the time that the high desert equipment took 36 years ago. And now, armed with 2 sets of MRIs, I went to see the neurosurgeon, and he called all the interns out of their cubicle, and they put the MRI on the chart there, and they looked at it, and they discussed what they would do, and then they put the second MRI up, and then they came and talked to me and said, well, surgery is the last thing we should ever do. And in your case, we can put you on the table in hours if you need to, but we want you to come back in 6 weeks. In 6 weeks, I came back and had my third MRI. They examined them and said, you know, we wouldn't have known where to look for the scar tissue if we hadn't had the other ones, and the scar is fairly invasive. There will be residual damage. As they consulted, they asked and said, now, did you ever have a spinal tap? And I said, well, no, nobody ever asked for one. Would that have helped? They said, oh, yes, that would have been very helpful. And I said, well, what happened? They said, we don't know what happened. We don't know where it came from. We don't know where it went. We don't know if it'll ever come back. The only thing is, we don't know. Well, my first doctor, who had recommended the MRI, prescribed a piece of exercise equipment. I was to rehabilitate my left leg because atrophy had set in and my muscles were deteriorating, and so I was to lift my leg against the strap with a spring and try to rebuild my muscles. The providence of God is all around us. It comes through his body, the church, the people of Christ. It comes through our friends and our family. It comes through unseen circumstances. God's providence is all around us. In his providence, he gave me an idea. It's called participatory healing. I do my part. I walked a block and then a mile and 3 miles, and Sweet Ruth would walk with me to help strengthen my left leg. Praise be to God. Praise God from whom all blessings flow. Praise him, all creatures here below. Praise him above, ye heavenly host. Praise Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. What happened? I was under incredible stress when I moved. I had headaches that were incredible. I took more aspirins than I should have. I probably had a stroke. I was 45 years old. My providential miracle is nobody ever operated, and I'm able to walk at the beach, the mountains, and the community and enjoy God's grace and love in my life. In fact, every good and perfect gift comes from God, the Father of light, and he has filled your life and mine. Have you stopped to thank him for his providence in your life?
Hey, it's wonderful to be here on the 10th anniversary of Ignite High Desert. I feel privileged to have been at all of them, including 5 times as a speaker. Give me a wave if there's anybody else who's been to all 10. I also want to use a slide to thank Ignite's movers and shakers, Sam Thatt and Brad Lettner, that led the way early on. Kudos are also due to the current chamber staff and Terry Sines, who has been Ignite's driving force for years. Now on to ships, something I've always been interested in. Over 60 years ago, when my age had yet to reach 2 digits, some of my most memorable playthings were warships, like the Fighting and plastic model kits. I like ships. But in my high school years, I was diverted by battles on land. If I had visited more museum ships and less Civil War sites where all major leaders went to West Point, I might have attended the Naval Academy rather than the Army's Academy. My interest in ships returned after marriage, and my wife still recalls her dismay at finding ship parts all over the house as I was assembling the Yamato. I was building an even larger model of the Missouri when we moved to California in 1996. Then in 1998, I came across this article in the Los Angeles Times about a group of hobbyists who constructed model warships and met at a lake to hold battles, actual battles. Wow, where has this been all my life, I said. So I went down the hill to the next meeting of the group and embarked on the hobby of big gun radio-controlled model warship combat. Eager to battle, I read the club's rule book, chose a battleship, and started construction. All ships in the club are based on actual World War II era warships, and all are built to the same scale, 1 to 144. This results in models generally at least 3 feet long to over 6 feet long for the biggest battle wagons. I decided to go big and build an Iowa-class battleship. After obtaining the plans, I began construction of the wooden hull using plywood for the ribs, balsa wood for the sheeting, and basswood for the superstructure. Then came the ship's hardware and the interior. There's a lot going on in there. A 12-volt battery powers the propulsion motors, and the 10-channel radio control system controls steering, speed, pump system, and rotating and firing the guns. The guns is where it's at. They're the heart of a warship. Custom built, they're basically compact BB guns that shoot steel ball bearings by explosively releasing compressed gas. Guns can fire 1, 2, or 3 balls in a salvo. This is me with my son James on our first 2 ships, the battleship Kentucky, which had 3 triple-barreled gun turrets, and the ship I'm holding, a 4-foot-long unarmed tanker, which was captained by James. For younger and novice players, the construction of unarmed ships is permitted, and they earn points by going around the lake making simulated cargo runs. Their main purpose, however, is to be delectable targets for the warships. The battles where ships can cost over $1,000 are put in harm's way is where the real excitement is. Captains split into two groups, and the fun starts as ball bearings splash while putting holes into enemy vessels. With steel balls flying all over the place during a battle, safety is a top priority. Protective eyewear is mandatory, and my club set up nylon netting to protect the parking lot. Still, at least one windshield was cracked by an errant projectile. During a battle, ships might come into contact, but deliberate ramming is prohibited. It's the gunfire that inflicts damage. Like real ships, a pump system can keep incoming water from sinking a damaged ship. Sometimes pumping works, and sometimes it doesn't. A common question is, can the ships sink? Well, not only can they sink, all models must be able to be sunk. It's no fun if you can't blast an enemy ship full of holes and send it to the bottom. The second most common question is, are sunk ships lost? Not usually. A small float with a nylon recovery line stays on the surface when a ship goes down. Floats don't always work, however, in which case it's usually bye-bye boat.
Wow.
To determine the victor of a battle, there's a point system. Sinking a ship naturally gets the most points, and cargo runs earn points too, as does inflicting damage. Looks like someone blasted off one of my secondary gun turrets. After a few hours, ships return to port, scores are tallied, and the winning side gloats, while the losing side plots revenge at the next month's exciting duel. Big gun combat, big gun radio-controlled model warship combat. It's the best hobby ever.
I'm an Arawakan American, and my name means brave lion. But today, we're all going to discover what brave lion truly means. Let me tell you a story about how I figured out what the brave lion means. So, since I was little, I've always loved to go to Iraq. But after staying away for 4 years during COVID-19, it felt different going back. Because I mean, like, imagine seeing your family for the first time when you were 4 years old, and then not seeing them again until you're 15. But in 2024, when I went to Iraq, I slowly got to relearn or re-meet my family, which is weird because it's not really a concept you talk about with your family. Who re-meets their family? But who I met was my mother's cousin, and you'll find out later why she meant so much to me. When I re-met my family, I made a lot of connections with her. She frequently asked me questions about how my life was and like current progress I've made in my life. She just wanted to see me succeed. Now I know this picture looks funny, but it's my mother's cousin. I knew her name, I knew how she looked, even though sometimes I forgot, but she meant a lot to me. And we'll figure that out today. My mother's cousin, she helped me grasp the idea of being from multiple cultures. I was confused about who I was, oftentimes. But it all changed when I realized how brave she was and that having multiple cultures could make me brave too. When she was diagnosed with cancer, 2 months after I returned to from Iraq, in 2024, I was devastated. Time stopped for me. I didn't know how to feel. A lot of people in the crowd who've dealt with similar things often feel. For me, it was shock coupled with confusion. If I barely knew her, why was I so devastated? Why did I care so much? After all, she was a stranger just a couple months ago. Not literally, but basically. But I realized that I care for her, and I wanted her to be brave. And that's where I started to learn about the lion spirit. She was brave, but she had to make really, really difficult diet choices during her treatment while she was already beat and battered mentally. But I realized that that was exactly what the lion spirit is. But her strength and our strength, as like a lot of you in the crowd, doesn't always come from one thing. Strength isn't just being mentally tough or pushing through things. Real strength, for me and for a lot of people in the crowd, also comes from what you choose to put into your body every day. Because what you eat doesn't just sit there. It's your energy, your focus, your mood, your immunity, in my cousin's case. It literally affects how you think, how you feel, how you live. And the fact is that a lot of food that we eat today in the West isn't really real food anymore. It's ultra processed and it's made in factories and not grown in trees. But in fact, it has been found that our diets in the West, those with those diets are habituated to overeating. And specifically, they're not overeating just any food like healthy food. They're overeating the same exact unhealthy ultra-processed. We are overeating the same food that is literally made out of the ingredients that we put into our cars when we eat those ultra-processed foods and those artificial food dyes, as a lot of you may have heard of. These foods are linked to harm at the DNA level and other chronic illnesses like depression, cancer, and obesity. In fact, it has been found that it has a very addictive and cyclical nature when you eat these foods. Overeating these foods, it causes depression, which increases obesity, which increases depression. So clearly it's very hard to break that cycle. And that's what my aunt found during her treatment. She had been eating unhealthy, and that heavily contributed to her illness. But because she was drained psychologically and she chose to make those better choices, she's recovering now. So though it's hard to put the donut down and pick up the banana, it's imperative that you do so, that you're courageous enough to make those choices, because that is what the lion spirit is. And that lion spirit is infectious. Not only do you better yourself, but help others be better. In my case, she's the reason that I'm brave enough to stand here in front of nearly 200 people and speak about such a hard topic. She's the reason that I want to go to medical school for so long and end up returning here to serve our community. So today, I challenge you and encourage you and all the youth in our town to embody the lion spirit my cousin showed, make more conscious diet choices. But most of all, infect others with it and encourage them to do better for themselves. So go be that lion. Thank you.
You've heard the saying, right? Once a chamber chick, always a chamber chick. Well, it's not quite a saying, but it is something I say because I'm a chamber chick. And the term chamber chick does include Mark, who's an honorary member. And although I've since spread my wings and gone on to my business venture with my husband, the chamber has a way of sticking to you. I have many stories from my 8 years of working there. Stories that made me feel like I was living out the TV show The Office, which is of course known for random humor, awkward situations, and cringy moments. And chamber life can be a lot like that. So here's some stories from a chamber chick's perspective, like these. These are centipedes. And fun fact, well, actually not fun, but it is a fact, they're common at the chamber office. And I've heard that they're fast and that they stink. Fortunately, I've never been bitten, but my very first encounter with one was here in the chamber bathroom. So of course I'm in there for obvious reasons, you know, doing my thing. And I see one squirming in the corner. So I grab the closest weapon I could find, which was Febreze. Now, when it comes to creatures like that, I'm not just a chamber chick, I'm a chamber chicken. So I unloaded half a can of Febreze onto that centipede, and I let him marinate overnight. And I left a post-it note for Ruby, who is very brave, and just like a knight in shining armor, she would always rescue us from the creatures in the office. Once she even threw a mouse over the back wall to rescue us. And speaking of rescue, once we had to rescue a member from a strange place. So the chamber has a back room that they rent out and at an affordable price. There's a little plug there. But anyways, renters are responsible for cleaning up after themselves. So one day, this renter comes to us, asks for the trash code, and she heads out with several bags of trash. About 10 minutes later, we get a phone call that sounds like this. Help! I'm stuck in the trash! Sure enough, the gate on the dumpster swung behind her, the pole dropped in the hole, and she really was stuck. So as chamber chicks, we couldn't ignore her, so we let her out. But now no one goes to the dumpster without their phone, just in case. Another day, we had a delivery guy drop something off at the office, and before leaving, he stayed to chit-chat with us. And we start talking about his arm tattoo, which then leads him to telling us that he has a back tattoo that he's very proud of. Now, if you know me, you know I love a good reenactment. So I'm going to show you what he does. He turns with his back to us like this. He props his leg like this. And he unrolls his shirt and is just standing there like this. Now, his tattoo goes from shoulder to shoulder. So literally his whole back was out. And he was standing right next to Distill, who was sitting. So she had just like a direct line of sight. And so me and Distill start exchanging glances, much like this, because his back has been out for a while now. And I've heard of the term backlash, but not backflash. So that was a new one for us. And I know in that moment, Distill wanted to get on her pink llama and ride away anywhere but there. And the best part about all of this is that we still don't know what the tattoo says. As long as it was out, we should know, but we still don't. So, from toilets, to the windows, to the walls. Not gonna finish that line. Anyways, but really, from pranks to plungers to getting banned from pranks, there's just so many memories that make me laugh, which is super important. LinkedIn has an article that says humor is a key characteristic of people that excel in the workplace because it connects us. So now it's time to cut some slacks, and not just one slack, but plural, especially for the chamber team, who before taking your phone calls to help with your business, you don't know if they were fighting off centipedes, helping someone out of the trash, or telling the delivery guy to put his shirt down. And those are just a few inside jokes with the chamber chicks. There's many more stories. I have stories from my gym. I'm sure you have your own crazy work stories too. So again, let's cut some slacks for each other. And I challenge you, look for the fun in each workday with your team, in the crazy, in the mundane. And don't forget to laugh, because laughter is good medicine.
Hit it. This won't take long, I promise. I've done this before. 10 years ago, I stood on this stage. I was a few months into a new daily sketch habit, and I shared the impact that it had on my brain. At the time, it was about creativity. But as I look back now, it was about starting. It was 10 seconds to make the decision, 10 minutes with a pencil and sketchbook in hand, 10 weeks of daily drawing, and the habit was set. And now, 10 years have passed. Some of you here have started new careers in that time. You've had kids, twins even. Some of us have been lucky enough to retire, and I don't know about you, but man, am I feeling old and trying desperately to grasp the wisdom that's supposed to come with that. I'm painfully aware of how quickly time passes. Each minute is a smaller and smaller fraction of the life we have left, and a lot can happen in 10 of those. But this is Ignite, so I'm going to tell you all about it in 5. Bottom line is just start with 10 seconds. In 10 seconds, you can stand up straighter and take a deep breath. You can tell someone, I'm sorry, or tell them, I love you. You can forgive yourself for that stupid thing you did back in 2005. 10 seconds is enough time to interrupt yourself. It's enough time to act before your brain talks you out of it. It was enough time for me to accept a fateful message on Match.com. So start with 10 seconds. But what if you stay a little longer? If you string enough seconds together, in 10 minutes, I can reset my brain with a sketch of my coffee cup. I can take a walk around the block. I can make that appointment that I've been putting off forever, or stay with me here, open that junk drawer, make eye contact with the judgy mass of charging cables, maybe just close it again for now, because 10 minutes doesn't have to finish the job. Just prove to yourself that you can begin to plan. So start with 10 minutes and start again tomorrow and the next day. Those 10 minutes becomes 10 days, becomes 10 weeks. And now you are building momentum. Your evidence is starting to show. 10 weeks is enough time to stop introducing yourself as, I'm trying to, because your evidence is starting to say, I am. 10 weeks of daily drawing, and I'm not trying to draw, I draw. 10 weeks of daily stretching, and now I make fewer old lady noises when I stand up. 10 weeks clearing one small space a day, and that messy junk drawer is a thing of the past, more or less. 10 weeks may not change your life yet, but it changes your evidence. And when those weeks and that evidence pile up, now you're talking 10 months, and that builds identity. And that's something that others will also notice. It's 10 weeks of doing the thing with quiet consistency, or 10 months, of diving headlong into an exciting new passion. Consistency can look like nothing is happening until everything changes. It's 10 months of keeping that promise to yourself instead of starting over every Monday. And that's when people ask, how did you do that? And you tell them, I just kept starting with 10. Now, 10 years ago, Sam started Ignite High Desert. We spoke about art and music and burgers and spaying your pets. No one ever knows what the next 10 years will bring. We certainly did not. But without asking permission, 10 years flew by and life happened. I lost my husband, Mike. At the third Ignite, I shared my grief on this stage with a talk called Grief in the Digital Age. I took a new job. I left Apple Valley, the town I had called home for 30 years, and I started over. I found love again. All of us here lived through a freaking global pandemic. And then I retired early because 10 more weeks of loving on my mom every single day was worth more than anything else in the world. I stopped measuring my life by productivity and started measuring by moments instead, 10 at a time. More peace, less worry, 10 days at a time. More exploring, less hiding, 10 weeks at a time. The next 10 years are already on their way. Why not agree with me here? Let's meet them with purpose. If there's something you've been putting off, if there's someone that you hope to become, just start with 10. I promise it won't take long.
All right. It was my fourth grade teacher that first taught me to drop a piece of photo paper at Tray a Developer. And when I saw that image appear on a plain white sheet of paper, I knew photography was going to be a part of my life forever. But from then on, I found myself staring out the window every day, watching the second and the minute hands click, click, click closer to the bell ringing. Not that I was a bad student, didn't want to learn, said I wanted to be out there in the world with my camera. I didn't want to be the guy, I wanted to be the guy in the history books, not the kid reading the history books. Later on, I learned about photojournalism, about F8 and Be There, about getting to write the first rough draft of those history books. And because of that, here in the high desert, I covered them all. From calamity to cakewalk, I was always on the go. It was more of a lifestyle than it was a career. This high desert was my office, and I never started my day at the same place at the same time, and I was always working with different people, but I never forgot about Mr. McGinty's lesson. And what a gift it was that it set up my entire life. Now, at that same time, coincidentally, as Pastor Penn said, providence, God's providence, always had me next door to teenagers into my life. I paid my way through college at a group home for abused and neglected teenage boys. I had 3 children of my own, which meant I coached all sorts of sports. I always had an extra teenager or 2 floating around the house, and I led all the youth groups to the churches where we attended. Even my last time up here at the Ignite stage, speaking about the moments from the object, taking items that were burned and destroyed in the Blue Cut fire and repurposing them into cameras to photograph the rebirth in the area, was my master's thesis that was a key essential part of becoming a credentialed teacher. In 2019, I got that opportunity. A local charter school hired me to be their photographer, and I was so excited. I rolled up to that admin day on the first day, and man, the first kid that I saw, I was gonna pass this gift on to them. And after meeting them and saying our hellos, they said, well, it's 8:20, and your kids start walking in the classroom at 8:25. Oh, a classroom with a bell. I have to be at the same time, at the same place, with the same people every day? I can't even be tardy? So, like a good journalist, I started keeping headlines and saving quotes throughout my day, like blind photographer teaches students how not to photograph the eclipse, or you're smart, Mr. Quick, I didn't expect that, or hey, can you keep your feet off my keyboard, please? But through that, even today, 6 years later, I find myself staring at the clock, tick, 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 waiting for the bell to ring. Not because I want to get out of there, because I want to get the kids out of my room. Some days I do. But it's because I want to get them out there into the world. I can't wait for the bell to ring in the morning because I want to see what part of this great, wide, beautiful desert we live in they put inside their tiny little viewfinders. As an example, there's Fletcher, who I met as COVID was descending upon us. And I watched that shutdown suck the passion and the curiosity and the joy of learning right out of him. And there was Gianni, who walked into my 30-minute study hall with a 1-minute video tutorial clip. Hey, Mr. Quigg, I want to try this today. It's like, okay. Well, he soon found out that that 1-minute video was really a compilation of a 3 to 6 month learning process. But he didn't give up. He kept making photographs. He didn't quit until his images surpassed those that were in the original 1-minute video clip. And now today I'm leveled up at a new school. Man, am I leveled up. And I'm working with Caden. And since this school year started, we've really said 4 words: good morning, good afternoon, good afternoon. But every Friday, when we share and discuss and review our photographs, everybody flocks to Caden's photos. Whoa, that's lit. Oh, that's got aura. How did you do that? Why did you do that? When did you do that? And that's because Caden doesn't have a lot to say, but he's got a lot to share. He makes us as curious about the world as he is. And that's why I come to the same place at the same time with the same people every day. Oh, and that COVID-stained kid Fletcher I told you about, he came up to me on graduation day and he said, thank you, Mr. Quigg. You taught me to love learning again.
In less than a year, I'll be married for 50 years. Yes, 50, half a century. I've been married for longer than many of you have been alive. And when people are surprised at how long I've been married, I normally say, I've been married since birth. Kind of keeps them guessing on my age. And when they ask how I've been able to stay married for so long, I say 3 things: dash of luck, firm foundation, and a lot of work. Stephen and I got to know each other the summer going into our senior year of high school when we worked at a coffee shop together. In Halloween, we had our first date and our first kiss. 4 months later, in February, we were married. 17 years old, because I was pregnant. You see, my parents gave me one of 2 choices: abortion or marriage. Now, I was lucky because Stephen agreed to marry me so I could keep the baby. And then on the day of our wedding, when his best man said, I'll run cover for you if you want to run out the back door, I was lucky again because he stayed. Unfortunately, less than 3 years into our marriage, our luck started to run out. Our foundation was crumbling. We were headed for divorce. Fortunately, God had a different plan. There's that song you sing in Sunday school. The foolish man built his house upon the sand. The rain comes down and the house goes smash. The wise man built his house upon the rock. The rain comes down and the rock stood firm. Stephen didn't want a divorce. He was looking for answers. And he had a coworker that kept asking him to go to church with her, and he always refused. But because he was looking and searching, he went. He came home that night and he said, "Will you go to church with me?" And I absolutely refused. No. But my husband did not give up. He kept asking me. And I finally agreed to go to church with him. And that's when everything changed. Our lives, our marriage, and our family, because we accepted Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior.
Amen.
Now, did everything change overnight? Did we suddenly have the perfect marriage? No. This is when the work began. This is when that sandy foundation that our family was built on now had to be built on a solid foundation of God's Word. And I wanted to share with you a couple things we learned in our journey. Number one, don't expect a Hallmark marriage. You're going to absolutely have Hallmark moments, but you're going to have illness, financial pressure, job pressure, definitely family pressures as your family grows. We had all of that, but that's when we held on to each other, we grew together, and we found those solutions and worked them out together. Number two, make it a priority to spend time with each other, to let the other one know how much you love them. Last summer, I spent a Saturday and I washed the patio off, I washed all the patio furniture off, and I put everything back up, really pretty. And the next morning on the bathroom mirror was this note: "The patio looks marvelous. In fact, you're marvelous, like Captain Marvel." That note is still on my bathroom mirror. Hold hands, go for a walk, take a ride. Intentionally, every day, make it a point to fall in love. Hanson, would you come up here? When we were married, our wedding was put together very fast, within weeks. And most of the decisions were made by our parents, from who to invite to the wedding to having two services, one at his church and one at my church, and that's okay. But we're going to renew our vows. And there is one thing, though, that I missed that first time around, and it's that big ass that girls want. And so I'm going to rectify that today. Handsome, Captain America, this is your daddy's ring. Would you take me, Captain Marvel, to be your Avenger again for life? Help me up. Our marriage has grown from our son, his wife, our 4 grandkids, our daughter, her boyfriend, and our granddoggy Chuck. Our marriage has been built on a dash of luck, God's firm foundation, and a lot of work. Yes, we've been married since birth, and our love story continues. I want to thank everyone for being here. I do want to mention a couple of people. I want to thank Byron Ward. He has always been my mic guy. He also helps with all the speech critiques. And this year, I had a special person help with our critiques, Kathy Martin Kurt, my buddy from Toastmasters. And thank you, everyone. You all were fabulous tonight. And thank you for being a part of this 10th anniversary Ignite High Desert event.
Let's give a big round of applause to our chair, Terry Sines, everybody. We couldn't do it without you, Terry. Thank you, everybody, for attending tonight, and we'll see you next year.